had a great meeting. You've sent a great proposal. What next?
In this episode, we break down why deals stall after proposals are sent and what sellers get wrong at this stage.
Who are enterprise, strategic enterprise account executives selling really big ticket items. And where deals are stalling are bottom of funnel.
This episode shows you how to guide buyers through that journey instead of just hoping they figure it out.
If that process takes you internally 30, 40, 50 days plus, in my CRM, because I'm a selfish seller,
We know the path from point A to point B to decision.
If you're selling complex deals in competitive markets, this is the episode you can't afford to miss. Welcome to the Revenue Leaders Podcast.
All right, I've got one for you. You've had a great meeting. You've sent a great proposal. What next?
this one here, I've been guilty of sending the dreaded just touching base to see how you went. This is a tough one, Louis. What do you do? Do you let time sort of go? How much time? Because then you get is this deal dying? Shit.
I'll tell you why it's a tough one, because when you get to a point where you're sending a proposal, you've actually got a qualified opportunity. It's not like top of funnel. If you call someone, they hang up on you, or you stuff up the call. Really, the investment of that call was low. But by the time it gets to a proposal, you've taken the time, you've had a meeting, you've sent them some discovery notes, you've hopefully gone through a process, you've got alignment, and you've put some time into building a proposal, right? You've actually spent money now to get that opportunity to where it's at in the pipeline. Now, for me, I think this is one of the biggest opportunities. And we're coaching a few guys at the moment, as you know, Dave, who are enterprise, strategic enterprise account executives selling really big ticket items. And where deals are stalling are bottom of funnel. It's proposal.
Yeah.
They're actually getting stuck.
It's a fascinating stat.
Right?
You think if I've got a proposal out that it's, ready to close.
Yeah,
They're
win
getting
or lose.
Yeah.
absolutely
No way.
stuck. And it's interesting, when we diagnosed the issue, when we went and had a look at it, it was so clear. The proposal was basically being sent in a deal room, by the way, in a digital deal room, which is great. But the deal room was so cluttered with information about the company. It basically was like a website with everything about the vendor.
So what you're saying is so much noise.
We see this, whether they
Can
send
you clarify what a deal room is for those that
Yeah,
aren't
so
using
deal room is an environment where you're basically housing all your information about the opportunity. You've got your executive summary.
it? Like a little bit of a password protected
Correct.
micro
Password
website.
protected. It's a place where people can go and look at demos, notes, action plans. It's meant to make it easier for buyers to get consensus, because we know there's more than, as you know, Regs, and we're going to talk to you in a moment. I want to really pick your brain on this. That's a deal room. The deal room is meant to make it easier for buyers to actually view what's happening in the opportunity and get consensus.
Yeah.
But what's happening with these deal rooms is sellers are treating it as a place to just dump a lot of information. So the buyer's like, holy shit, I'm getting overwhelmed with information. It's actually, all they're doing is replicating what's happening in a PDF proposal. They're dumping a lot of stuff in a PDF proposal, sending it, and expecting the champion to try to figure out a way to decision. Now, how do you tackle that? Because you're selling, how many people are involved in your buying process when you're trying to get someone across the line at Grant Thornton?
So what I would probably say to this is, even from an industry level, what I've seen from the data is that it's over 12 people now in enterprise.
12 people.
Yes. But professional services, it's 15.3.
Wow.
So, and I'm like, is that even possible? But if I look at it in terms of how I buy, I'll go out, I'll have a look at different vendors, and then I'll have to come back and assess them. I'll likely get one of my team members on a demo, so that's 2, right? And then I'm like, okay, I need to take it to my CMO. I'll push it to him and be like, I think we need to head in this direction. And he's like, that's great. You'll need to talk budget. So I'll have to go off to finance. And then they're like, that's fine. But if this has gotten more tech, you have to talk to the CTO. CTO's like, okay, but can you have a chat to my cybersecurity head? And then they bring in a team member.
I've got a headache.
Hold on. Applications team around making sure that it can sync into my CRM, for example.
So who's the 0.3? It's half a leg.
So then it's like, this is all well and good, but we need to check risk. and then law. So already that to me is, I think, 20 people in my buying party. Now, naturally I'm a seller, so I'm like, this is my gig. This is what I was born to do. I go in and sell the dream to each of these different personas and how it could benefit. But what if your buyer doesn't have the selling capability to sell it internally?
I was going to say, but into that process, you could be more qualified to work for that company.
I know, and you need a holiday.
But you're fatigued, right?
Yeah.
And this is the gap. Like we see this time in and time
sounded like
again.
8-9 meetings there internally.
Well, we take it back to when we started engaging with GT, over 5 years ago. I started with a gentleman that was prior to Reeves coming in her role. Then I had to meet with his colleague. I met with Mary, and then it was another gentleman called Ben. Then I had to go meet with Fraze, and then he's a CMO. Then he's like, great, I need you to meet with the wider partner group. And then I met with the wider partner group. Then I had to meet with, it was such a process to get to a point of pilot, right? We look at the deal that we just got across the line.
How long did that take? It
was probably a good 60 days, right?
okay.
But we look at this other deal that we just got across the line. That was in about 30 days. From the time of first meeting to the time of decision, there was about 15 people. And we had to do we did the discovery doc, but we had to redo the proposal a couple of times based on and we made it a draft. But I think where this becomes a bit more complex, and Regan just shared it, that journey that she's navigating through, Regan's quite skilled and has a perseverance. And I'm sorry I'm talking on your behalf.
It's lovely. Keep the compliments coming. You don't talk this nice about Dave, by the way.
No, because anyway, it's like, we need to do an episode on what Dave can't do. Anyway, that Regan has the ability and the perseverance to go through and go through that journey. But a lot of champions, they don't know what that journey looks like. The minute they go to one and you have to go to the next, and they get like, I've still got my full-time job, I'm working.
Yeah, they just give up.
And it's fatigue. So where the shift needs to occur, if this is your play, if this is the playbook that you're using, you're listening to this going, that's my proposal process. I get a proposal, I give it to my champion, and I hope my champion can go and navigate. If you don't think they're having those conversations, they are. Right?
Pardon the quick interruption. I'm Stella from the media team. You'll notice we don't run sponsors or ad reads on Revenue Leaders. The show is free. Our goal is to help you grow revenue and build a sales system you can rely on. We do have a favor to ask, though. If this episode gives you one clear idea you can use, do these 2 things. First, share it with one person, a founder, a revenue leader, or a rep who wants to grow. Just one. That's how the show grows. Second, grab free access to our vault over at coachpilot.com/vault. Inside, you'll get the frameworks, templates, and short courses we use with clients to scale pipeline and increase close rates. So the deal is simple. If you get value, share the episode with one person and go to coachpilot.com/vault to get the tools to put this into action. All right, let's get back to it.
So what would you do? Would you ask your champion, hey, who else are you talking to? Maybe connect with them?
First and foremost, Riggs.
I would just ask the question, and this is power of questions, right? You look at past, present, or current and future. This is a past-based question where you say, when was the last time you made this decision? And could you walk me through what that actually looked like? Because that in itself, and there's variations to that, I could say it a lot better, but with that, you've actually got the opportunity for them to describe how they did it in that organization. So then you already know what it's going to look like in future. And that is how can I facilitate my buyer, right?
Because if you don't understand that, we now know that Regan and her team have got sequencing tool across the line. They've got Navigator. They've got intent data tools. So they've got enough experience on what did they do to navigate that journey. So if I was now talking to Regan about an ABM solution because they're implementing ABM, I would be seeking understanding of how did you get your intent tool across the line, right? Talk me through that process because the process is going to be quite similar. As the seller, if I don't determine that, then I'm not actually doing the job that I've been paid to do. But on the flip side, if Regan's never implemented something of that nature, which a lot of companies, a lot of people in her shoes haven't, Regan won't know. But guess what? We're the expert. So we as a selling organization, we know the path from point A to point B to decision. So we then need to flip this, and instead of saying, here's a proposal, hope for the best. Hey, this is the steps. These are the people you need to go engage. We're doing this in Coach Pilot. We're building we're migrating to a digital deal room and making sure, as you know, Dave, we're making sure that each persona that's involved in that committee, that buying table, has a section in that deal room that talks to them. Why? Because we need to empower our champion and say, look, when you go talk to X, this is the section that's relevant to them. Mm-hmm. They've got questions. Those questions, if not answered, turn into objections. Those objections will then slow the deal down. And this is where more technical complex deals get slowed down because the buying committee can't get consensus.
And then to that, like if they can't get consensus, then what happens?
It stalls.
But most of the time, it just means that they lead to indecision, right?
Correct. And what does a salesperson do? They push.
Yeah. And
then they're not trying to solve. So they've got their hat on, which is, I'm trying to get this deal across the line, and I'm not seeking understanding as to what's stopping that deal from progressing. But in fact, go back a step. They're not even sort of guiding the champion on, hey, this is the path that you're going to have to navigate.
So then on the other side of that, I receive your email about just following up, and I'm like, I know how to monitor my emails. I'm a pretty capable person. Don't just follow me up. Either help me out or bugger off.
Yeah. And I guess that's, unless I've asked the question, I'm unknown. And then if that process takes you internally 30, 40, 50 days plus, in my CRM, because I'm a selfish seller, I'm going to be thinking this deal's at risk, or this deal's going to, not going to go through. I missed my quarter.
I'm going to have to. But again, this is where you are absolutely right in your assessment there, Dave. It's from a buyer's perspective, though. Regan, tell me if I'm wrong, actually, because you often tell me I'm wrong.
You're pretty wrong all the time, actually.
If I come to you and I say, hey, because I have a really good understanding of how people like you have to navigate, you've never done it, and I showcase to you, this is a typical path.
Yeah.
How would you feel about me now? Would you see me as a seller or see me more as a consultant?
As a partner, as an advocate, you're giving me a skill set that I don't have. And this is where I think there is a death of MQL, SQL opportunity close. It's actually buyer intent, and then you shift through into, buyer interest, wanting to discover, and then it has to go to buyer consensus. Yeah. I think death to the old sales approach, because you really need to be focusing on that buyer and the buyer decision-making party.
That's where
as
I
a
love
whole.
buyer enablement.
And this is not a fluffy hoo-ha, you just said yes because we're on the episode. It's that if it's going to make your life easier and you want this product in the business, then you're going to lean on to the seller of that company to help you as much as you can.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. But then it gets stuck when the poor champion, we've just given them a proposal. They're going out trying to navigate. They don't know how to answer some of the questions. They become just this, person that's stuck in the middle, and they're like, you know what, this is just too hard. Yeah. Right? It just gets too hard. So the status quo just gets maintained because they're like, mate, the pain for me to get this across the line, what's it going to be? What will the pain look like once we actually get started?
Yeah. No, that's a great point, Ron. It's not, if I think back to my previous life in an old company that I ran, I became that trusted advisor with this one individual. It was a large university and it was going through a procurement process, and she really wanted us in there. She loved our vision and everything we wanted to do. It came a time where she was going into meetings and she was SMSing me questions that she was getting so that I can then enable her, because we didn't have a deal room. We weren't as that sophisticated in our selling process way back then. And she was just asking questions on the fly where, how do I object to this? What do I ask here? Basically enabling her, albeit on the fly, to help get this deal across, right? And this is not just for multi-million-dollar deals.
No.
We're seeing this now for $5,000, $10,000 annual accounts type of deals, right? Which you wouldn't think would go through this process, but
it needs to, because you've got risk, depending on what you're selling. The companies have to put a certain lens across deals and lens across services and tech tools that they're bringing into the company. So it's becoming quite a vital part of the process. If we're not anticipating that prior and then not arming our champion with the right level of information, we're actually using hope as a strategy versus being proactive and strategic.